This is a reusable bag. This bag is made in the USA. This bag can be reused at least 125 times. This bag is sanitary, waterproof, and contains no heavy metals. Are you sure about that?
This is indeed a disturbing universe.
Hello, greetings, and welcome. Welcome to the Stereo 999 YouTube channel. I am your host, the artist formerly known as Stereo Steve. And here I am. I'm making another video. If I get it up in time, then it's Saturday. And so last week's video, I don't know, I think I lost a couple people with that one. I'm sorry, but I just do whatever I want, and I've always just done whatever I wanted with this channel. I'm not making money off it or anything. So those of you who are still with me, just I love you, I appreciate you. I'm really glad that you're here, and we can talk about music, have a little fun, and if I talk about current events, it's because the current events have gotten my attention, which is kind of a rare thing, because usually I'm just hiding in this dungeon with my records and trying to pretend that the outside world doesn't exist. As of this filming, I am 290 subscribers. And again, when I get 300, there's going to be some kind of celebration. I don't know what yet. So this video's going to be pretty laid back. I'm just going to... Mostly I've been just kind of hunting like thrift stores and bargain bins, and I found a few interesting records, and I'm going to talk about those. And I made a little joke in my comments in the last video that... since I did Charlie Mingus for Kamala Harris, I should do Bob Seger for Tim Walz. Why not Bruce Springsteen? I don't feel qualified to really talk about Bruce Springsteen. I'm all the way over in the other side of the country. I'm not in New Jersey. Yeah, so I went to Amoeba. I was going to do thrift stores, but I ended up getting a dozen records for like less than $20. These are all like $1, $2, and $3 records. We're like Salvation Army's records are $4 now. Goodwill's records are $5, and they're just totally fried. So I ended up just skipping the thrift stores. I figured this was plenty, but I got some goodies. This is the first Mott the Hoople album from 1969, and their early ones on Atlantic are a little more heavy than the ones on Columbia. This one you hear a lot of Bob Dylan in the vocals, and there's a lot of riffs. This starts out with an instrumental version of "You Really Got Me." Nice MC Escher artwork here, and got some job rolling papers in the corner. Loggins and Messina, before they were yacht rock, they were hippie rock. This is with Kenny Loggins. This is the one that has "Your Mama Don't Dance." It's kind of a hit, and "Angry Eyes," which is a great song that kind of turns into a jam, kind of similar to the way the Stones' "Can't You Hear Me Knocking" kind of does. This is the record I went down there because we were talking about, I got Professor Nate holding the camera. We were talking about The Alarm the other night and how I saw them opening for U2. Yeah, they were... A friend of mine in college interviewed them for a fanzine he was doing. Learned that they were big fans of Slade which is kind of cool. But this is probably their best record, just this 5-song EP. I mean, it's got the Stand and Marching On, pretty much a couple of their best songs. And I found this too, Joe Jackson's Jumpin' Jive. I used to have a cassette tape of this when I was in high school. But this is I guess this is his pinups. He's covering all songs from the 40s on this record, like Is You Is or Is You Ain't My Baby. And You Run Your Mouth and I'll Run My Business, Tuxedo Junction on A&M. But, you know, if I were more cynical, I'd say, well, I should be just listening to the real deal. And I did find a record that was the real deal. This is Reefer Songs, 16 original jazz classics. And it's got Reefer Man, Sweet Marijuana Brown, Here Comes the Man with the Jive, Weed Smoker's Dream, and Who Put the Benzodrine in Mrs. Murphy's Ovaltine. And this was like $2. I don't know. I could not pass that up. And back to Joe Jackson, the Mike's Murder soundtrack. I always see this record. This is one of those, I always see this fucking record everywhere. And it's like $1. And I'm like, why am I not just buying it for $1? So I did. And it's pretty cool. The first side is like songs, and then the second side is more like incidental music. But when this film kind of went through, I was reading up on this film, it kind of went through some reshuffling and slicing and dicing. But this gave me an idea for a whole nother video where I'll talk about movie soundtracks, and that's in the future. Do you remember this band SVT? They were local. They were local new wave kind of band in SF. Their bass player was Jack Cassidy from Jefferson Airplane and Hot Tuna, early 1981. And I had this, I was gonna, as I was going through thrift stores, I was gonna make this whole joke about maybe I'll find Paul Revere and the Raiders because 8 Vinyl Lows thrift store video. But I found these compilations here. This is Columbia Hall of Fame, and it's songs that made the Billboard charts in those years. And it's got a little bit of everything. It's got like Barbra Streisand.
Has it got any Paul Revere and the Raiders?
A bunch. There's a bunch. And it's got like early stuff like Good Thing, which Good Thing appeared in the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood soundtrack. And Kicks, and there's some Bob. The label is cool because this was like a promotion. I guess they sent these to radio stations or something, but it's got this white label, red print promo, Columbia. And there was another one too, 1970 and 71. And the first track is Arizona by Mark Lindsay, who was the singer for Paul Revere and the Raiders.
That's right.
And it's got Indian Reservation on there too. But yeah, Simon & Garfunkel, Chicago, all of Columbia Records' big money makers. Pat Benatar. I'm like, I can't believe I never bought Pat Benatar. I guess because it's on the radio so much. But this one's got the hits. It's got Hit Me With Your Best Shot and Hell Is For Children. And she also covers You Better Run by the Rascals and Wuthering Heights by Kate Bush on this.
Oh, she does Wuthering Heights.
She does Wuthering Heights on this, yeah.
That's crazy.
Julian Lennon. This was like $1. This is, I'm like, poor guy. He kind of got the shaft, But Too Late for Goodbye is a good song. Takes me back to the 80s, Maybe the sound is a little smooth. I mean, it's like Billy Joel's producer, Phil Ramone, that produced this. But this is totally clean. Julian was the son of John and Cynthia, and then Sean was the son of John and Yoko. Yeah. And last but not least, you've heard blues harmonica, you've heard jazz harmonica, but have you heard disco harmonica by the Joel Diamond Experience?
Oh yeah, that's just fine. Come on, boys, just one more time.
Trolls are stupid, lazy, and when they're not up to mischief, they lay about all day in the filth and squalor of their dank and musty caves under abandoned bridges.
Side 2 is the self-hypnotic version.
This is KYA San Francisco. 12345 Sparta Electronic Corporation is one of the worst electronic companies in the United States, famous throughout the land for the wonderfulness of their machinery and the efficiency of their place and all that stuff.
Also, I want to show you this thing. You remember these? The flip cameras? They, with 2 gigabytes of storage. This was the big thing in 2007. Look, it's got a little USB that plugs in after you shoot your video, and it takes AA batteries, and it's got 2 whole gigabytes of storage, and it saves the videos as AVI files. This was going to be the big thing, except that cell phones with better cameras than this came out around the same time, and nobody wants to change AA batteries midstream. But anyway, I'm going to film the next sequence with the flip camera.
So yeah, Bob Seger went from little-known 60s rocker from Detroit to car commercial classic rock radio staple. And I got a couple of his records here. And this is one of the ones everybody looks for. It's the Bob Seger System. Ramblin' Gamblin' Man. But who's this chick? Well, there's a song, Tales of Lucy Blue. I think they probably were going to originally call the album that. But Ramblin' Gamblin' Man was a hit, so they retitled it. You almost never find like an original Capital Rainbow label, but this reissue with the yellow label turns up fairly often. All right, this one also a Capital reissue. This one's called Smokin' OPs, which is an expression my mom used to say, and you see it kind of looks like the Lucky Strike. Smoking OPs meant that you're mooching cigarettes off of other people. And that's the joke, is that this album is mostly cover songs. He does Bo Diddley, Love the One You're With, If I Were a Carpenter, Turn On Your Love Light. And this is a fun early Bob Seger record. Easier to find than Noah, which is the Holy Grail album everybody is looking for, and I don't have. But anyway, like Cheap Trick and Peter Frampton, the real breakthrough album was his live album, Silver Bullet Band, Live Bullet. And this is one of them double live albums. It's got Kathmandu was the hit. I remember hearing that on the radio. I think I'm going to Kathmandu. And He does like Ike and Tina Turner's Nutbush City Limits, and Bo Diddley. But really the crown jewel of this album, in my opinion, is side 3. Ramblin' Gamblin' Man into heavy music into Kathmandu. And then there's Night Moves. You know, takes me back to hearing it on the radio. Classic radio, FM. FM, no static at all. Yeah, I saw this movie in the theater when I was a kid. It was kind of like a long episode of WKRP in Cincinnati. And it was kind of ironic because it was a rebellious radio station. Went on strike because they didn't want to run commercials for the Army because counterculture, which, you know, a punk rock fan would say that was very ironic because it's some pretty mainstream rock that's on this soundtrack. There's a live Linda Ronstadt set, which was kind of a thing in the movie. You know, I think I got this when I was in the 8th grade for the Life's Been Good by Joe Walsh, long version. But there's some short versions on this. Short version of Night Moves. And I think it's the complete version of Steely Dan, Do It Again. But, yeah. There's Linda. Martin Mull, rest in peace. And Jimmy Buffett. Oh, I love Buffett's. What are they serving? Okay. And here's the poster. Q Sky FM. We never come down. That's the fictional radio station of the movie. This is kind of fun, you know. You want to get in that 70s retro, whatever. So here's some other stuff I just kind of picked up over the last few weeks digging for records that I don't think I've talked about on this channel just yet. This is the Fifth Dimension Greatest Hits. It's got, of course, Aquarius, Stone Soul Picnic, Wedding Bell Blues, California Soul, Up, Up and Away. Sadly, does not contain Last Night I Didn't Get to Sleep at all. On Soul City Records. Yeah. The Barbarians, 60s garage band. They did Are You a Boy or Are You a Girl? And Multi, the drummer, had a missing hand. I don't know if you can see in the picture, but that song is on there too. This has got a different cover because this is the reissue on Rhino Records that came out in 1979. Yes. Jose, Can You See? Jose Feliciano. I don't think this is actually his first album. It's a self-titled album containing his version of Light My Fire. Also containing his version of California Dreamin', which was in the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, along with Bob Seger's Ramblin' Gamblin' Man. He's a really good guitar player. I mean, some of his records are more on the easy listening side. In fact, you sometimes you find his stuff not filed in the rock and pop section, but in like vocals or easy listening. Maybe Latin, but there's some good playing, some good string arrangements. It's got that nice kind of 60s vibe to it. All right. Richard Pryor, Is It Something I Said? One of the greatest comedians that ever lived. Parental advisory, content warning. Judy Collins, who knows where the time goes? I already had Judy Collins' greatest hits, so I didn't really need this, but this was at a thrift store and it was like totally mint. It had the original inner sleeve and everything. I'm holding the camera with the other hand, so I'm not really going to unpack it. Jean-Luc Ponty, Enigmatic Ocean. Somebody else I was watching talked about this, and I'm like, oh, I see that for like $2 all the time. So I'm going to just grab it. Jean-Luc Ponty, of course, being the jazz fusion violin player, appeared on Frank Zappa's Hot Rats. Most of his records are pretty mellow, but this is a pretty solid jazz fusion album with the legendary Alan Holdsworth on guitar. Ambitious Lovers, a band with Arto Lindsay. I only listened to this once. I thought it was an album, but it's actually like a 12-inch EP with different remixes of the song. This probably would have been more useful to me when I was working as a bar DJ. This is kind of cool record. All right. So that's the cheapos. Okay, here's the couple of kind of big deal records I got. This is the Stooges live at Goose Lake, August 8th, 1970. Thought it was a bootleg, but it's actually authorized. And the great Third Man Records put this out. And it's pretty much Funhouse done live. Can't go wrong with that, man. And last but not least, Metallica, Kill 'Em All. I had the CD, but the CD was not sparking joy. And in this day and age, I'm not going to find a beat-up old copy without paying more than I want to pay. And I saw this remastered copy for a pretty good price, for like $26 in my hand. And it is the album that started it all, the classic early Metallica with Cliff Burton playing at Ruthie's Inn. And it's a good pressing. This does what it needs to do. It gets the metal job done. Show and tell, just a game I play when I want to show you some records. So like and subscribe, and you'll see them next time too. Oh, baby. Okay then, that's my video. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and peace.